Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Dayabhadra. Nice to be invited. Thank you very much, Ratnasambhava, to talk about Ratnasambhava. Now, there's a picture of Ratnasambhava here on the shrine here, for those you can see it, and hopefully online as well. There's a picture of Ratnasambhava. So, but I'm not going to start with Ratnasambhava. I'm going to start in history. 2,500 years ago, with Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha. So he left home. He was away from, he went forth from the home life and practicing meditation, practicing austerities. And after a few years, he sat under a tree and gained what we call enlightenment. So. And he was totally transformed by this experience. He, saw through the delusion of a fixed and separate self, and all of that, the qualities. So he sort of, if you like, a new being was born at that point. Not literally, but his mind changed, his consciousness changed. His heart changed. So he became supremely confident, fearless, compassionate, freed up his energy. It's like there was a total transformation in his being. And he discovered the Dharma, he discovered the way to enlightenment. And then, of course, I don't know how new you are, but you might, he spent the rest of his life teaching, or another way of thinking about it, he just talked to people, he communicated with people, he just tried to share what he discovered. And some of those really took to what he was talking about and made the changes in their own life. And something was sparked off in them, and some of them became enlightened or were on the way to enlightenment as well. Other people just ignored him. So he didn't have a 100% hit rate. Some people just said, that's very interesting. I'll continue with what I'm doing. So, but this continued over the centuries until now. We're hearing the words of the Buddha and his followers over the centuries. But you can imagine, after he died when he was around 80, and you can imagine that he was much missed, not just for what he taught, but his presence. He had an incredible presence, a real warmth, aliveness. You're supposed to be it was auspicious to meet the Buddha, so you were very fortunate to meet the Buddha. And you imagine that people probably bore him in mind, after he died, but maybe for the centuries afterwards, people would remember. People would tell stories about the Buddha, about how kind he was, about how wise he was. All the different people he met, all the different stories came down to us. It was an oral tradition at the time, and a lot of it was, passed down orally before it was written down. But people had incredible memories in those days. And people probably meditated on the Buddha. People bore him in mind. And over the centuries, people in deep meditation, monks or nuns, the various figures would arise in their deep meditation. And those of you who were here last month, Akshobhya was one of those, and Ratnasambhava is one of those as well. So, and Buddhas in different colours, in different hand mudras, that's hand postures, and maybe also mantras, as some of you as were chanting before, that would arise in deep meditation as well. And then you can imagine that they tell people about their meditation, and then paintings were made and sculptures were made. Stories were talked about these figures. And So we have the 5 Buddha mandala, which we're looking into, discovering, and 5 different Buddhas, but they're all part of the enlightened experience. They're all part of what the Buddha discovered. They're not separate from it. So we've got Akshobhya is blue, we've got a yellow Buddha, green Buddha, a red Buddha, and a white Buddha. And it's a bit like a white light going through a prism where it's refracted into different colours, just looking at different aspects of the enlightened mind, the enlightened consciousness. A bit like Pink Floyd, you all know what that is, don't you? So the album cover of the white light going into the prism. And these are all of these, so we can't say they're historical, but they've got a lot of meaning. They're archetypal symbols, if you like, and they speak of our potential, what we can become. So what the Buddha attained, we too can attain. So it's not something separate. We too can grow and develop, and we too can become like the Buddha and like these figures. So Ratnasambhava, gold and yellow. Hand posture, the right hand posture is in giving, supreme giving. Mudra, or hand posture. Holds a wish-fulfilling jewel in his left hand. He's associated with the south. Each of the Buddhas, 4 of them are the cardinal points, north, south, east and west. And then there's one in the middle, Barokshana's in the middle. He's associated with the noon. So you can imagine the noonday sun in the middle of summer. He's associated with human realm, so that's related to the Tibetan wheel of life. And he's Ratnasambhava means jewel-born one. So I'm just going to have a look at a few things about that, and one of them is giving. So it's called dana in the Buddhist tradition, and it's a really important quality. It's a really important practice. It's one of the 5 precepts that Buddhists take on, and it's the enlightened mind is constantly giving. The Buddha was constantly giving. He wanted to share what he discovered, not a sort of ego way. He just wanted to relieve people of suffering. He saw that having a fixed sense of self and everything that flows on from that causes us a lot of suffering. And he just wanted to share, if possible, people could sort of take on what he discovered, and they too could relieve themselves from suffering. And in a way, the precepts are things we practice. They're loving kindness, generosity or giving, stillness, simplicity and contentment, truthfulness and mindfulness. And they're all good in themselves, but they will help us. The more we practice these precepts, the more they will train the mind, train the heart. We'll be happier through practicing because it relates to our connections with others. We're sort of putting, if you like, what we do in our day-to-day life. We're not just benefiting other people when we're practicing the precepts. We're kind of we've got grooves in the mind, if you like, where if we're practicing kindness, we're cultivating a groove in the mind towards more kindness. So we'll just become a kinder person. So if you want to know how to become a kinder person, just act more kindly, even if you don't feel like it. If you want to become more generous, just be generous. And then this will become a positive habit. And this will become something that you'll just do. I often just remind myself to be kind. It's like, oh yeah, be kind, and then that just helps when I go into a situation that I'm a bit more in tune with what kindness is. The metta bhavana also gives us the resources to be more kind. But we may have resistance to giving. We may feel like, oh, I can't give anymore, I'll get depleted. or maybe others don't deserve it as well. So one of the things we can do to feel more generous or be more generous is to reflect on everything we've been given. So none of us exists in a vacuum or isolated. None of us is self-made. We're not self-made men or women. We exist because of others. All of our clothes, all of our food, our education, everything you think about comes from other people, and we're giving to other people. So there's this constant flow, and we can just reflect on that. And actually, it's just the natural response is to feel appreciative. We can feel appreciative and gratitude. And when we feel appreciative and gratitude and grateful about things, it's actually we feel a bit more contented. We acknowledge our connections with others, and we can feel just more contented and happier. And one of the practices we can take on is called the 5 gratitudes. I'm not sure if you've come across this. It's a really helpful practice because it's just maybe at the end of the day, you can think about 5 things that you're grateful for. And it can just be really simple things, I'm grateful for I've got a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I've got food. I'm grateful that someone helped me at work today. Quite often our minds go towards the negative, and it is there's a course I lead on mindfulness, and that helps people with depression. And it's not just people with depression. The tendency, our minds go towards the negative. It's almost like we're wired that way. But we can work against that, and we can cultivate gratitude, and we just become more grateful, and it puts us in a more positive state of mind. And we naturally then want to give more and share more, and we can feel more abundant. So that's one aspect of one quality of Ratnasambhava is abundance. So Ratnasambhava doesn't have the sense of like, oh God, I can't give any more. I'm depleted. I've given enough. And Ratnasambhava is like constantly giving in a state of mind, a state of heart, that to give just means you've got more to give. So metta works on the same basis. It's not like we've got a limited amount of metta that we run out of. We can cultivate metta so it's forever flowing, and it's a practice. We might not be there, and it might be something that we just need to work on for weeks, months, years ahead, and not to give ourselves a hard time if we don't feel like giving. And we might have a sense of lack here. Maybe we feel I haven't been given to, but it's good to think about, what have I been given? And it is all part of the practice. So if we feel the resistance, don't worry, that's just part of the practice. So we can practice giving. We can do it. So sometimes a good bit of advice I remember being given is like, if we're in a bad mood, just do something for others. Make a cup of tea. Offer some, you're at work and you're feeling really resentful. Just do something simple for somebody else. Oh, do you fancy a cuppa? Or listen to someone. And it can shift. It's amazing how it shifts you out of your bad mood. The bad mood is often about me, as it were. Well, it's not. It's probably about you actually as well. But it's about oneself. We're absorbed in ourselves, and we can get out of ourselves just by doing something for others, and it honours our connection. And resentment, bitterness, blame is corrosive. And if nothing else, if we stay in those states of mind, it's not good for ourselves. I mean, I remember back in my 20s, I experienced a lot of resentment, and it was it's taken me quite a while to kind of work against that. But I just saw what it was doing to me, and really quite a painful state. So Ratnasambhava's wisdom transforms the poison of pride and conceit. So the 5 Buddhas are associated with 5 wisdoms, and all of these wisdoms transform various poisons. So pride and conceit. And in Buddhist terms, this is to do with comparison. It's obviously to do with feeling better than other people. I'm better than them about in this, or just generally I'm better than this person. But it's also feeling worse than somebody else as well. And it's feeling the same, equalness to someone else as well. So it's a really interesting area, because you think, well, I don't have too much pride. If anything else, I've got low self-esteem. But actually, low self-esteem is actually all about ourselves as well. And again, we don't need to be hard. We don't need to double it up and make it worse for ourselves. But just acknowledging that it's about ourselves, and also feeling the same as other people is about ourselves as well. There's a phrase, compare and despair, which I quite like when I was told. So, once we begin getting into comparison, it will probably not lead to a happy state of mind. And the way out is to give. And giving requires awareness. It requires awareness of other people, and it requires awareness of others' needs. So it really takes us out of ourselves. And we enter the human realm. So we become more fully human when we're in connection with other people. We cooperate with them. We no longer feel the isolation of pride. It's quite a painful place to be in, this conceit and pride. And we can allow others to help us as well, which is another practice, actually, to receive help from others. Some of us find that quite difficult. Maybe we even find someone saying a nice thing about us is a difficult thing. But if we can be open to it, not just change the subject when someone says something nice, see if we can just let that in. We can empathize with others and rejoice in our merits. This is another lovely Buddhist practice. And so I live in a community near the London Buddhist Centre. There's 6 of us living in the community. And when we have a birthday, we give cards and gifts, but also we rejoice in the person whose birthday it is. So one of my friends, he just had his birthday on Thursday, and so we rejoiced in his merits. And just the atmosphere just changes during and after, and it just creates a very positive atmosphere. And if you're on the receiving end of that, sometimes you think, oh no, I'm not sure about that. But if you hear it enough, you begin to think, oh, actually, maybe I am this person. Maybe I have those qualities. And it's a really helpful way of sort of getting beyond our sort of fixed sense of ourselves that, oh, I can't do this, I'm not this sort of person, if you receive that. So it's always worth sharing positive rejoicings, even if it's not in a formal setting. If you feel, if you've noticed something positive about someone, share it with them, or share it with a friend of theirs. And sometimes it's really nice to hear, like, oh yeah, someone was rejoicing about you the other day. I think, really? Well, that's nice. They thought, they said this about you, and it's kind of just a lovely thing to receive. It's another way of giving. We can give with material goods. We can give with our time. We can give the Dharma, so we can tell people about meditation, how it's helping you. We can tell people the things we've heard or read about Buddhism, not in a way of converting them, but in just sharing what helps. And sometimes a little goes a long way. So Ratnasambhava sees how everything arises and passes away. One of the fundamental insights of the Buddha. And all beings have the potential to grow. We've all got the potential to grow beyond where we are now, to become kinder, to become more wiser, to access energy, to become more confident. And Ratnasambhava's love shines on all beings equally. So it's like the midday sun shines on all the earth, all the solar system, all life equally. And like the midday sun, all beings are precious. So Ratnasambhava has solidarity with all beings. And again, this connects with metta bhavana. One way of thinking about the metta bhavana is that we're cultivating solidarity with all beings. Maybe not so much a feeling, we might not feel very much, but we can feel solidarity with all beings. Everyone wants to be happy, everyone wants to avoid suffering, and we too are the same. And so Ratnasambhava's wisdom is called the wisdom of sameness. So it's this solidarity, and it's the love that shines on all beings equally. And Ratnasambhava's wisdom gives equanimity. There's the 8 worldly winds. So this is the Buddha described this. 4 pairs, so gain and loss, fame and infamy, or you might say like status around here, praise and blame, pleasure and pain. And these are 4 pairs that we kind of get into. It's easy to get into wanting to gain things, wanting fame or at least higher status, praise, pleasure. I mean, that's just natural human things, just to want all of those things. But if we grasp too tightly to those things and really go after them, we'll inevitably suffer the consequence of the opposite. So the things we gain and hold on to will lose. The fame, we might end up as infamous, or we'll look for high status and we'll end up, with low status. We want praise, but actually other people will blame us as well. And we want pleasure, but pain comes with it all. It's honey on a razor's edge, as the metaphor goes. You don't get one without the other. So we always get both sides of the coin, and chasing one does lead to the other. And so if we can treat them all with more impartiality, it's not like we have to deny pleasure, deny praise, but just take them on board, but knowing there's the other side, knowing that for all the pleasure that we have in life, we can enjoy that, but we're going to have pain as well. For all the praise we get, we're going to have blame, and for all the blame we get, hopefully we'll get some praise as well. And Ratnasambhava I think Ratnasambhava is a really beautiful image. Do come and have a look at this after the talk. Ratnasambhava is golden yellow, giving, very beautiful, very associated with culture, with the arts, with beauty. And so if we have an aesthetic appreciation, a contemplation of beauty, this can really refine and transform our emotions, our energies, our consciousness. So I think nature and the arts are really, really important. It's what Sangharakshita, the founder of our movement, Triratna, really encouraged us to, bring in nature, bring in the arts, and then it's easier to connect with the ideal of enlightenment. So we can really deepen our connection with our own culture, whatever that culture is, the paintings, the music, the poetry, the literature that we've grown up with, that we've got connections with. For instance, reading literature reading stories can help us to imaginatively connect with others. Listening to music can just give us pleasure, it can give us beauty. And we can find our consciousness, as it were, raised through connection with the arts. So it's a really helpful way to begin to grow and develop. And starting with whatever we feel comfortable with, so you don't have to jump to Bach and Caravaggio. You can start where you're at and see what the effect of engaging with the arts is. You may be doing this already, but if do more of it. But if you're not, then just an encouragement to do more. And if you do it, if you're creative at all, try that as well, because again, you're connecting with beauty. And nature just allows us to connect with ourselves in a healthy way. We can feel more human. It's good. So there was an announcement about going on retreats. So one thing with retreats is that we spend time in nature, and that's just a lovely thing to do. Maybe I don't need to say this, but we're living in London, and sometimes it's we can stay in London for a long time, but it's good just to get out, go for a walk, spend a Sunday going for a walk. But there's also beauty in everyday life that we can tune into, and I think that's really important as well. Not to sort of save up for weeks and months before we go away, but there's beauty in everyday life. On my way to work, I walk over a bridge, a footbridge, over a canal, and when I remember, I look down at the water, and there's ripples, and there's reflections as well from the sky. There's some canal boats, and I just enjoy them, and it just takes me out of my everyday mind. It takes me out of my everyday concerns, and brings me more into the present, brings me more into the everyday. And there's elements of beauty. We can access beauty at any time, pretty much. We can just we can have an experience of, well, I think there's a sort of, with mindfulness just isn't something that's cool and I don't know, even cold. It's something that's warm. It's very connected with metta, and it's connected with beauty as well. So we can have a very rich experience just in our day to day. I'm lucky to, at my work, I'm looking at, there's a window, which is probably quite lucky, and a bit of scrubland outside with some trees, but occasionally you see a fox. The squirrels generally do running up and down the trees, and then the sun comes out, and we've just been blessed. I mean, just this time of year is beautiful, isn't it? With all the blossom, and so we can just sort of think, it's beautiful. It won't be here for long, the blossom. I opened the curtains, and there was all this blossom that had just sort of fallen on the pavement outside. So it's, we can just look in the everyday. So I just want to do a quote. This is a really good book. This is Vasantra, and it's called A Guide to the Buddhas. He's done a few of these books, and I can very highly recommend it, because he looks at all of the Buddhas, and very imaginatively, creatively looking at how contemplation on the Buddhas can really help us in our practice. And very, very good book. And just say a little bit about the wish-fulfilling jewel that Ratnasambhava has. So it's a symbol for the Bodhicitta. The Bodhicitta is, Bodhi means enlightenment, chitta means heart or heart-mind. So it's the heart of enlightenment, or the will to enlightenment. It's a sort of, when it's said that the Bodhicitta arises in someone, that they have the will to enlightenment. They want to gain enlightenment for the sake of all beings. So it's not something that's just for themselves, but it's a compassionate act for the sake of all beings. And when this has arisen, we feel truly fulfilled. So in that way, it's a wish-fulfilling jewel. It's something that We feel truly satisfied, truly fulfilled. And that's the result of practice. So over, as our practice deepens, as we take it further, we can feel more contented, more fulfilled, living the Dharma life. It gives us we might not be sort of happy in a sort of superficial way, if you like, day to day, but it gives us a sense of more meaning, more fulfillment. And we can just connect with Ratnasambhava if you find yourself drawn to the figure. Get a painting of it or a picture from the internet, and just reflect. So just looking at the figure, any of these figures can have an effect. I think that's why people buy Buddha figures, Buddha rupas. They might not know anything about Buddhism, but it speaks to them, and sometimes these images really speak. And so we might want to chant the mantra like some of us did as well before the break. So, telling you a few things about Ratnasambhava. But Ratnasambhava is this archetypal symbol, and like all symbols, that it's not a literal relationship. It's not a one-to-one thing. So I've said a few things there, but there might be other connections that you've made. I just invite you to allow that into your imagination. You might sort of follow a thread with that.